Thank you, Thierry. Hello to everybody. Now we are going to jump into this very interesting topic of the crowdfunding. I'm really happy and thrilled to have really beautiful and very interesting experts tonight to speak with us about this topic and more specifically about the interaction we can have with the theme of marketing. Crowdfunding has become a popular technique to gather quickly funds for a new company or a new product launch. But it isn't the only reason to use it. Crowdfunding is an excellent method to test your marketing mix and to answer questions such as, does your product fit the market? Is there an important community interesting into your product? Can your product be a commercial success? There are many possibilities. Our invitees tonight will help us have some elements about this subject. This roundtable will be split in two phases. We are going to start with 3 persons representing crowdfunding ecosystem. They work for crowdfunding platforms and have a client approach in mind. They gathered more than 2 billion Swiss francs since they exist. We are going to understand more about the best practices of the system and and understand how they help companies using marketing. On the other hand, industry will be represented by 2 companies. They will tell us more about their experiences and their strategies to use marketing into their crowdfunding campaign. We will then come to you and we'll be thrilled to hear your different questions about the subject. For this first part, I will welcome Ellie Damashek. Ellie is Indiegogo Senior Director of Client Services. Her prior experience is in the front-end innovation process, most recently as a business development director for trend-driven innovator at Global Consumer Trends and in side firm Trend Watching. She comes specially from San Francisco to discuss crowdfunding topics with us tonight. Welcome, Ellie. Marie de Bombour, COO of the FinTech Weekend Fund, founded by Vincent Pignon. Marie de Bombour brings to the company her qualities as a business manager and a speaker. Specialized in crowdfunding, she gives conferences and workshops for the development of participatory financing to entrepreneur and banking institutions. Émile Joudier is in charge of the Romandie office and project consultant for We Make It. He comes from cultural and associative background and has several years of experiences in project management. We Make It is currently the largest counterpart-based crowdfunding platform in Switzerland and one of the largest in Europe. Welcome to you, the 3 of us. Maybe we could start this first part with a quick reminder of the crowdfunding context. The phenomena is not new on the market. What did change? I will now welcome Marie. She will remind us the basics of the crowdfunding and tell us more about some case studies she has with Weekend Fund.
Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here with you tonight to explain you how can crowdfunding can help you and can help the people and the public to invest in the marketing part. I'm Marie de Bombour. I'm the CEO of Weekend Fund, so thank you for the introduction. Maybe I prepare some slides for you because I want you to know what is crowdfunding, how can you use it, and for your client or for you yourself. But maybe I can start with one question. Who knows crowdfunding? Or maybe most of you, and who has already used crowdfunding or already done a crowdfunding campaign? Okay, a few of you. That's good. So we can go forward. We Can Fund is a fintech specialized in crowdfunding and also in ICO, and we're doing ICO, blockchain, and crowdfunding platform. So we are not a crowdfunding platform, but we use and we develop the technology to do it. So maybe to explain you, do you have an idea about how much is the market of crowdfunding in Switzerland last year? Who think it's more than 100,000 Swiss franc? More than 500? More than 1 million? Okay. We will see in the next few slides. First of all, you have to know that crowdfunding is used in many types of fund. It can be used for donation, for reward, for loan, for equity, with ICO also. So it's more than an investment. It's another way of finance. It's an alternative way to the bank financing at this time. It's a complement also because we need banks to do it also, and it's just another way to use crowdfunding, to use marketing part, to have a really tremendous marketing impact in the way of fund raising. This is a very, very good tool as a communication. And sometimes people use crowdfunding only for a marketing impact, to do more visibility to their project, to be more transparent for the public, because they know how you can, how they can raise funds, they can raise the financing, and they know also how the money is used. And I think it's the most important part. There's also an important part about when you do the project, you have to have already a community. It's the very big point, and we will do. I will explain you. There are 4 essential points in crowdfunding. You have to know. It's first of all is the cause, as why you do the crowdfunding. So you have to really have a very good storytelling, and how you can convince your public for this. Maybe it's one of the most important part also, it's the community. So I just said it, said that it's you can't raise fund if you do not have a community and say, oh, I will do a crowdfunding. Okay, can you give me some money? Okay, and this is a good way, because you amplify your public cycle, you amplify the environment you already have, your client, your partnership, and some of your community in national or international. So you have to know who will help you in the crowdfunding. Also, there's a third point in crowdfunding. It's the counterparty, and sometimes the campaign doesn't have a counterparty. It's doesn't have a reward, and there's only a donation. So what is the mix? What is the way of the crowd donation? So it's only maybe a thank you and sending an image or a video, but you have to amplify the way that you're creating a real value with crowdfunding anytime, and even with a donation. And the fourth part is trust, because sometimes you don't know who used the crowdfunding, who is the team behind it, who is the team who will show that the product is existing, and how you can really solve the problem, and why I will give you some money and not to the other person. So it's a bit part of competition, and you have to be more aware about what is done in your sector. So this is there are the four essential point of crowdfunding. Just to let you know about this, because sometimes it's important to remind. And the different type of crowdfunding. So I already mentioned some. So you've got the reward based. Which is you give some money, you have a product or you have a services. It's like the pre-sales, it's the same. You've got the donation. You already know some crowd donation platform, and I will give you an example just in a few minutes. You've got an investing. It's you invest in the capital. You invest in the startups. You invest in the you know the project, and you really want to invest this. Or you're a part of the capital or an interest. This is the lending part, and you've got an interest also. And ICO, who know already? Who know ICOs? No, and you already. I think some of you have heard about Bitcoin and Ether, and so a lot of startups are making their own ICOs to raise funds. So it's a new type of crowdfunding. It's the same, but with cryptocurrencies. So it's not in fiat, it's not in Swiss franc or dollars or etc. It's in cryptocurrency. So they made their own ICOs to raise funds, and they've got pre-sales, and they've got a lot of stage to raise funds in the same of crowdfunding, but it's type of crowdfunding. It's coming up more and more because a lot of ICOs is coming up right now, and in Switzerland we are in the top 3 to raise funds in ICOs, and where startups are coming, and especially in Geneva and in Zug, because there are 2 cantons which are very aware about welcoming the startups with ICOs. Okay, maybe I don't know if you have heard about FINMA, which is the regulatory organ in Switzerland, and I think it's good to know that there are some rules to follow in Switzerland. Maybe it would be the same in US. I don't know. Maybe Ellie will tell us about this. But in Switzerland, you can have a time limit with 60 days. You can collect funds, and it's applying normally, especially in crowd lending only. We will do more specifically. It's used also in reward and for any type of crowdfunding platform, but more than 1 million in crowd lending only, you cannot have more than 20 lenders. So that's why it's FINMA has already put this rule in August last year, and so it's very good to know that we have to follow the rule in Switzerland. Otherwise, you have to have a license, a banking license or a light lens license, who's coming up, and it's very complicated. This is the figure out. So I already told you Switzerland is coming more and more efficient in crowdfunding market. The most part is crowd lending in the yellow. You can see, and crowd lending is in green, and crowd investing is in yellow. The reward based and donation platform are. The volume of transaction are in red. And it's important to note that this figure, because it's coming more and more. And in 2008, and this year, it's up to 1 million already. So it's the curve is exponential. And we are only in the beginning, because it's going to be more exponential with the ICOs who's coming up next year. So I invite you to follow the market and the evolution. And there's got a really good figure to heard about this. This is a crowdfunding monitoring Switzerland. This is a statistic. So you can follow the crowdfunding market with them, and it gives you an idea how you can raise and which part of the crowdfunding is the most important. This is the part of tokens. So I already speak about the ICOs. We call it a token, a coin, and a lot of this is in billion. So the transaction volume in this year in September it is huge. It's more than the crowdfunding standard with donation and reward. It's coming very. I can't say this is not only a wave of marketing. It's coming up really in the market. So a lot of investors and startups are coming with their own ICOs and raise fund thanks to the tokens market. Okay, I will speak about what we have done with some of clients, because we provide the technology to serve the platform, so to deliver a platform. This is in the renewable energy platform in Geneva, the same as SEL in Lausanne, I think. They have done their own platform to help corporate in Geneva to raise funds in the renewable energy. So they've done their own platform to help people and to help SMEs to raise funds and to facilitate the funding. So people can use the platform as you and me, and you can collaborate with the platform, with the project on the platform. You will see a lot of platforms, so we'll invite you to see the website. It's scg-impact.ch, and it will give you an idea about how you can really do your own platform. It's an easy way. It's the first example I've got. The second is, so this one is a reward-based platform. The second is a donation platform. So it's really new. You are the first one who knows this platform today, because the launch has been today. So the RCRC has launched their own fund, the crowd donation platform. They already have some donation button on the website, but they wanted to give the possibility to the public to focus on one project and give you the possibility to be more transparent where the money goes. So you're not giving money to the RCRC. You're giving the money to the project to the RCRC in a specifically content, with a team, with a part, country. You can follow the project with the videos, etc. And so they give you the possibility to be more transparent about how can use the money. So the URL is crowdfunding.rcrc.org if you want to see, and it's really new. It's today. We already have done a crowd lending platform. So this is another way to get in touch with traders, especially in Geneva. So it is a crowdlending platform to finance traders for the commodity trading with the lenders, and they have done. SCCF is one of the biggest trading company in Geneva, and they wanted to create their own platform to put forward the project of the little traders, because banks didn't want to follow them because it was too little. And I remember that the first transaction is in million, so it's not little. But then they are the first, so they create the first platform in crowdlending in trading. This is great because they can follow all the process from the commodity who's doing with the producer, then the inspector, then when the commodity is coming up with by boat, and then they can follow all the process until the buyer has sent the money to the seller. And with the trade in the trading company, it's really useful. So they've done their own platform for them. Don't know if got some other. No, I don't have any more example. I have more use case about how crowdfunding can be used. And I have a lot of examples for these, but maybe I will give the micro to another person to let them know about this. If you have any question, I think we have a Q&A after.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Thank you.
And now let's move direction to the US. Thank you, Ellie. We'll be presenting us Indiegogo's approach and share some best practices that we could use on the marketing perspective.
Great. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. And thanks to Swiss Marketing for having me here from San Francisco. So today I'll be talking about closing the marketing loop, basically how we can disrupt the marketing cycle using crowdfunding. We were mentioned earlier how I used to work at trend watching and front-end innovation. And the reason why I was attracted to Indiegogo is because it really represents back-end innovation. Once you have a product, or at least a prototype of a product, how can you actually innovate the way that you distribute that to new channels? So I'm Ellie. I'm the Senior Director of Client Services at Indiegogo. Maybe you're surprised that a crowdfunding company has a client service person. This is because it's actually part of Indiegogo Enterprise, which is a segment of Indiegogo specifically to help medium and large businesses launch their own campaigns. So we provide white glove services, the tools you need, the education you need, whether you're Nestle or Lego or Bose or P&G, etc., to help you launch your own crowdfunding campaign and learn from the results. So really about the insights that we can give to companies. So what makes a crowdfunding campaign successful? This is a lot of what you just discussed. There's some overlap here. But 4 main things that you need to have to launch any campaign. Doesn't matter how large you are as a company. You definitely need an attainable goal. And at Indiegogo Enterprise, we do help clients understand what is a realistic goal. Just because you can raise $300,000, maybe that's not the goal you want to set on your campaign. And maybe even it's unit-based. You could say, I want to sell 90 units. That's also something you could do at Indiegogo. So definitely want to engineer your goal to be something realistic and attainable for yourself. The next is, of course, your story, to have a compelling pitch. So why are you doing this? Why are you even using Indiegogo, perhaps? What's your story? What's your history? Who are you as a business owner? And how many tries have you made? So there's all kinds of techniques you can do to build that story. And that's something that we can help also companies engineer a little bit. Of course, next is the perk. So there are many kinds of crowdfunding. What I'm talking about today is specific to rewards-based. So if you contribute amount of money, you get a perk. That's the language you use at Indiegogo. So maybe it's the actual product. Maybe it's access to an influencer. What are you giving in exchange for this donation that somebody has put onto your campaign? And finally, of course, proactive promotion. So you can't just build a site and wait for people to come. You might have an excellent product, but very, very few people can really rely on just the product alone. So it is important to build a network. Maybe you have social media budget. Maybe you have your existing consumer base that you can leverage. Maybe it's your own employees if you're a medium or large company. But you have to make an effort, definitely at the beginning and also important at the end, to promote your project so that you get enough eyeballs on it so that you hit your goal. And something about the goal too, you know, on Indiegogo, the design, we have a green bar. So what percentage are you along your goal? And 90% of campaigns that reach the first 30% in the first 24 hours are most likely to fulfill their goal. So that first push is essential because nobody else wants to come to a party where, you know, they're the first guy on the dance floor. You want to be part of the party, you know, early on. So it is important to engineer everything so that, you know, you have a successful campaign. So what are the 4 main benefits of crowdfunding with Indiegogo? The first 3 areas are familiar. This is crowdfunding as you probably know it. So fundraising, obvious one, right? Branding and awareness is also a huge part of this. Who is my brand? You know, I want to get out into this global audience. I want to reach a network of early adopters. Market entry is another benefit. So if you want to have exposure to the US or to Canada or to Japan. You know, Indiegogo is global, so these are all markets that will have access to your product if you choose to ship it to those places. We also have a huge business with China now. We have a China white glove team, so we translate their products to the global market. And then lastly, this is what I'll talk about today, is customer discovery and market validation. So is your product something that people actually want? Can we understand who our customers are? This is a huge benefit to not just small businesses, but to certainly large and medium-sized businesses to come to Indiegogo. So this looks like kind of a scary slide, but what I'm showing here is that the top is the traditional innovation pipeline and timeline for corporations. So typically, if you're launching a product, let's say it's a hardware product, you design your product, then of course you need to create it, you manufacture, then you market your product to find your audience, and then depending on how it performs, it's validated, right? So with Indiegogo, we're actually trying to get our clients to disrupt this cycle. And instead of manufacturing second, you manufacture last. So if you're able to design a prototype, you don't have to make thousands of units, and then market it to this audience, then see how it performs and validate that product, then finally you can manufacture. So you've just saved quite a bit of funds and quite a bit of energy and effort by shifting your phases a little bit here. So you not only build an audience, but you are able to validate and, you know, tell your colleagues, look, there is a demand here. So I'll show you some examples of what this looks like. But I do want to reiterate again, this is something that, you know, small businesses are interested in. It's relevant because they want to raise funds and create their product and launch their startup and get funding. Medium businesses, it's also relevant because you have to prove that you're scalable. And if you manufacture too many products, let's say, that can really slow down your scalability. And then, of course, large businesses want to stay relevant and beat their competitors. So again, you're saving money, you're able to prove yourself before perhaps manufacturing something that may not be for the right audience or may not be fitting a new consumer demand. So P&G has actually been a client of Indiegogo's for a few times now. We just launched a Gillette campaign as well. But this is something that came out about a year ago. It's the area scent dispersal. So it's an in-home scent and, I guess, air freshener that has a corresponding app here. So they did a really small test. For a company the size of P&G, they just had 50 products. And in just 2 hours, they sold out of that product. And then they were able to have a wait list of over 11,000 people. So here they only had a couple prototypes, but quickly they were able to have 11,000 people who say, I'm interested in this product, and that's their first consumer. And this is Wendy, our client at P&G. She was saying that in the end, they want to make sure that they're developing a solution that consumers actually want, not just something that they say they want. You know, focus groups tend to be the case. But something that, you know, Indiegogo really helped them do is to learn whether or not someone would pay for this solution. So we are looking to disrupt the focus group environment too, which is kind of passive, and make it very active with financial and transactional learning. So here's an example that is not just about the product demand, but also about marketing and your message and your story. So Tyson Foods is an American, really huge food manufacturing company. They have Tyson Chicken, they have Sara Lee, they have some hot dog companies, but they launched a new product with Indiegogo called Yappa. Yappa is a no-waste, it's down here, chicken chip. So it takes carrot tops and celery and chicken and also beer yeast, and it makes a recyclable, totally waste-free snack. They're actually pretty good. They're in these different flavors here. But they used Indiegogo to launch this product and talk about their new mission to fight food waste, and that they have this mission to rethink snacks. So they're a huge company that don't always have sustainable business practices. But here with this new product, they want to make it right. They wanted to launch a new innovation lab and use Indiegogo as part of that message to show that transparency with this product. And these are actually straight from their campaign page. We designed this for them, but these are quotes from the key contributors to this product talking about why they created this brand and providing that transparency. And in this day and age, certainly in the US, brands like Everlane and Patagonia, that are showing consumers a little bit about who they are as a business and providing that window into their process are really winning consumers' hearts and pockets. So they're saying that the brand was created to inspire people and partners to rethink the relationship with food and how it impacts society. We want to be an ingredient-driven company that people will love, says the chef here. So yeah, you could put this in a print ad, you could put it in a billboard, you could put it in a video, but by putting it on Indiegogo and having a product that people can experience firsthand, you're building a new kind of relationship with your consumer base and different kind of marketing. And it had some great response online. Press is a natural part of crowdfunding. Don't forget that press can be your friend and give you some extra eyeballs and validation on your campaign. And lastly, I just have an example here from Bose. So Bose did a very limited release with these sleep buds. So they actually created a headphone that's not for music. It's the first of its kind. It's specifically to help you fall asleep. So it creates noise cancellation technology. If somebody's snoring next to you, if there's music downstairs, that cancels out and helps you sleep. And the fit and design is also meant to be comfortable on a pillow. So they also needed to figure out, is this something that we should do a large-scale launch of? It's quite expensive to produce. So on Indiegogo, they were able to raise nearly $500,000 and have their first 3,000 or so contributors until they sold out and were turning away customers. So again, this is a point for them to say, this is something we should definitely produce, and now it is available in stores. And something to mention, too, that it was heavily discounted. So it is important that these brands give an incentive to their first users and say, at least 20% off of MSRP to be our first to market testers. And it really also was important to engage with the consumers and provide comments and answers when people ask questions about the product and thank them for being their contributors and their beta testers. So that relationship is also being built very early on in these campaigns. So 4 quick takeaways on what you can do with crowdfunding at Indiegogo. You can validate your market demand before manufacturing. You can change that cycle of the 4 steps for your manufacturing. You can develop a captive audience before you are actually going out to market your full-scale launch. And you can lead with transparency as your brand message. So saying that we're partnering with crowdfunding campaigns because we want to learn from the consumer. We want to hear what you think. And then lastly, you can come to us to get started with all of the above. So you can work with me to do this. And this is my email address here. But you can also just go to Indiegogo.com and take these learnings. And if you'd like, you have the tools you need to start your own campaign. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Annie. And now we come back to Switzerland. Did we miss the train? Emile?
Thank you. So, hello everybody. I'm Emile Joudier from We Make It. I'm the regional manager for the Romandie part of Switzerland. So, a lot of what I'm going to talk about has already been approached by Marie and Ellie, so it's good that I made a short presentation. So first I want to give some insights on reward-based crowdfunding in Switzerland. So the numbers that Marie showed comes from day 2, I guess. there is the crowdfunding monitoring that's made by the Institute of Financial Services in Zug from the Lucerne University. If you want to follow the trends in crowdfunding, I highly advise you to go check the papers they pull out. So for reward-based crowdfunding only, it raised about 17 million in 2016. And by April 2017, there were 29 platforms active in Switzerland only for reward-based crowdfunding, which is the thing we do here at WeMakeIt. WeMakeIt is a... Can you hear me well, by the way? Okay, great. So WeMakeIt is a Swiss crowdfunding platform that was created in Zurich in 2012. And in 2017, it raised 10 million, and since its creation in 2012, it raised 39 million only on the Swiss market. We are the main platform in Switzerland, and we are also active in Austria and Germany. Since the Swiss market is really specific for its language separation, we are active in 4 languages, which are German, French, Italian, and English. That also means that people that want to launch a national-wide campaign on WeMakeIt can launch a campaign in different languages at the same time. The type of clients we have are usually cultural projects or startups that want to reach a local or national scale target audience for their product or service. Here. Okay, so these are things that we already talked about, but I really want to put forward the fact that crowdfunding is way more than fundraising. It's mainly communication. So it can be used for promotion for a product or a project launch, where you will have a whole campaign, which is usually 30 to 45 days long communication campaigns on your product before it's launching. So it's going to be getting a high reach and a high visibility. It can also be used to create your first circle of customers, because, like it was said before, you can use the platform for pre-sales, and especially if you do early bird prices that are attractive, because you reward the confidence that people have in you since they are buying the product before it's being made. You can, of course, also use the platform, the campaigns for pre-sales, because then you will be able to communicate highly on it and put forward your products. And finally, you can also use a crowdfunding campaign for market tests to mitigate the sunken costs. Like it was said, you can reorganize the steps you usually do before manufacturing a product before launching. So it can help you know if the public is going to want your idea. Next, I'm going to talk about a specific case, which is Choba Choba, which is a Swiss company, a Swiss chocolate company. Like I said, at here we WeMakeIt, we mainly aim for national scale campaigns, so the goals are usually lower than on an international scale. For this specific case, they wanted to reach 80,000 francs, and they managed to raise 140,000 francs. They mobilized more than 1,000 backers only in Switzerland. And for this, they had a really efficient elevator pitch, which was they want to treat cocoa and chocolate like winemakers treat grape and wine, which means that the problem they had, which is exactly shown on the image, is like you wouldn't buy a wine bottle which only return Italian wine, because you want to know which kind of grape is used and how the winemaker used this grape to make this great wine with. So what they did is select breeds of cocoa trees to have specific cocoas to use them to make specific chocolates. And this is the product they offered in their campaign. So I just wanted to show here too. So they used the campaign for pre-sales, and they proposed a Nativo bundle, which was one of the many rewards they had about pre-sales, where they offered this bundle, which was 3 of the chocolate selection, which were the first roster of their products. And they managed to get more than 400 people to get it, which was still here their first customers on this specific product. Because crowdfunding is not only about pre-sales, but also about raising money. They also had symbolic rewards, because usually there are 2 kinds of people. People that want to become customers of you, So they will get a reward, which is your product. And people that want you to see you succeed, but don't necessarily want to become your customer. So for them, you also need to provide rewards that are adapted to them, so you can also gather their participation. And in this case, one good example was that you could become the godparent of a cocoa tree, which would mean you will receive a certificate with a cocoa tree name on it, and you will receive its GPS indication, so you can follow it. But it's not moving, but you can know where it is. Yeah. So here is. And for the communication, like I said, they did a national-wide campaign, which means that they had to use multiple language in the communication. And usually, if you are a German-speaking company that wants to market in the French part, if your communication is not well translated, it's not going to pass well with the people here. So what they did is they had a chance that their founders are both German and French, so it helps too on this side. But what they did is that the campaign video was in both language and also in Spanish, because, like you will see afterwards, the producers in South America are also owners of the company. So they had a video in 3 languages to show how open they are, and everything was subtitled in French and German, which really helped for the national scale of the campaign. They also, like I said, gathered the full participation of the cocoa producers, where 2 of them came to Switzerland to help promote the campaign with a multiple presentation they did. And finally, the themes that were mobilized and shown to the public and managed to convince the public were threefold. First one was the gastronomy. Like I said, they want to treat chocolate like we usually treat wine. Another side was the fair trade side, where the cocoa producers are co-owners of the company, which means that they are received good money for what they do, and they are not usually treated like we can imagine that big companies could treat producers in foreign countries. And finally, they also had a big sustainable aspect, because the company, since it wants to select breeds of cocoa, which are not usually done by the big companies, they protect these breeds and help multiply and protect the breeds of cocoa that already exist. So since this was an introduction to the discussion that we are going to have later, my presentation is at an end.
We are now going to switch to our guest from the industry. And welcome to start Dan Wetting from Babuk. After 11 years of cross-functional experience in brand building, marketing and CRM, information system, everything changed for Dan Wetting, as he founded a wool shoe startup inspired by an old Siberian tradition. Babuk's simple purpose is authenticity, responsibility, and comfort. I'm really happy to hear about your experience now about crowdfunding, as you did 3 campaigns for 3 different product launch, and to see really the interaction you had with your marketing strategy.
Thank you. I have a good news and bad news. The good news, there's no slide. The bad news, you have to listen to me. So my name is Dan. So we created Babuk out of a green idea. I wanted to do something else in my life. And I got this crazy Valenki boot. I don't know if any of you knows what Valenki is. So it's this Russian boot they're using in Siberia at minus 40 degrees. It's a single piece. It's something big, out of wool, no stitching, just wool. So when we got this, there's a little piece, I am holding my hand. When we started this back in 2013, I said, okay, how can I create this product that it can live? Is there anyone who may like it? Can we pay our salary out of it? And how do I create the brand awareness? So at that time, we used to live in Jakarta, Indonesia, and we had this crazy guy who was a filmmaker and said, I love your project. So he came to film up the movie, and we were really naive. We said, okay, Kickstarter, great platform, Sorry. Huh? Said, okay, let's put it on Kickstarter. We click the button, and we waited. And it starts to get some money, 60 Swiss franc, 100, 200. 3 days later, we got stuff picked by Kickstarter. Suddenly it went 2,000, 3,000, 6,000. We didn't do anything. I mean, we didn't have time. We were like, okay, we're really dreaming the dream of Kickstarter. So no PR agency, no media list, just naive video. And we raised 60,000 Swiss franc. 300 backers. We were like, wow. So we're super satisfied. That was a good motivation for us to continue. And 2015, we said, okay, let's do the next product. So we developed a next product, which was a sneaker for the summer. And let's do it now professionally. So we said, we need help. So we did 3 months of preparation. So we had the product already, the first prototypes. We sent it out to people. We asked feedbacks. We asked people to write articles about us, but we did it by ourselves. So no PR agency, but we find an ad agency, which the guy said, I'm happy with the ads. I'm super professional. You pay me only with the money I'm making. And we realized that's a lot of money that they're making, like 25% of what you're getting, it goes into their pocket. Other agencies are taking up to 30 to 40%. So we said, let's try it. And I have the video for you. So I just want to quickly show you the video of our second Kickstarter.
In 2013, we kickstarted a project to create Babuk. We were fascinated by the Russian traditional shoes who helped generations to go through the coldest Siberian winters. So we decided to modernize the shoe, revive it, and share with the people around the world. And many of our friends love their Babuk so much, no matter the weather. We had to do something. We spent 1 year developing the perfect pair. Today, we are proud to present Urban Wooler, the shoe that will make a huge change in the life of your feet. A sneaker that you can wear from the beach to the city and from work to the gym. The Urban Wooler will always look great and keep their shape across many journeys. The breathable material auto-controls your foot temperature, keeping you cool in the heat and warm in the evening. It is water repellent. The material will not get easily wet and drying will be very quick. The Urban Wooler can be worn without socks. Its antibacterial properties effectively fight foot odor. We've taken care of every single detail to guarantee comfort and durability for any indoor or outdoor activities. The shoe uses ultralight flexible fabric, 7 times more resistant than cotton. It's wool. Urban Wooler is ready to go into production immediately, but not without your support. Your contribution will allow us to produce the first orders and bring our young brand to the next level. This is the Urban Wooler by Babuk. Let's do this together.
The outcome is we raised 200,000 on this product. So we were like, wow, that's great. The agency was great. So the ad agency we used did a great job. We tried during the campaign use another agency, which was a flop. I can tell you more later about it. So we had at least experience with 2 agencies, internationally speaking. So the lessons learned was, okay, the product was, we launched it during Kickstarter between 18 and 120 Swiss franc. So it was, especially below 100 was like, yeah, that's easy to sell. About 100 was okay. 1 year later or 2 years later, we continued developing our products and we said, okay, we got it. Yeah, let's make it better. We developed the original Valenki winter boot, make it modern. We spent, seriously, it's a very complex boot. Half of it, we make it in Nepal. Then we ship it to Europe. So it's a very complex product. And it's a product you can keep at minus 30 degrees statically outside. We even partner with Mike Horn, who used this product to cross the South Pole. That was really wow. Okay, if he is still alive, that means it's a good product. We were so trustful, saying, oh, we find agencies, no more preparation. Just give it to the agency, they're doing it, great. PR, in the second campaign, we did ourselves. So we spent the time sending emails to journalists, sending samples, begging for writing an article. We said, no, we take an agency, they were doing it. The ads agency was good. We launched the product in March, and the result, flop. 60,000 raised. I think we spent, 30 or 40,000 just in ad spending. So we did it in March also. Maybe March is not the best product to launch a winter product, but we thought, crowdfunding is always a product you get 6 months later. So for us, was the learning is, crowdfunding as a summary, I think I would say is important. But if I would do another campaign, is first of all the price, because the boots we launched between 150 to 200. Even though afterwards in retail was 250, so it was still cheaper in retail, but still it's a high premium product that has to be explained. So if consumers don't get it in 30 seconds, you're losing the interest. So pricing is super important. Agencies is super important. Choose the right agencies that is helping you, and I think you will get a good example of a good one after me. I'm already introducing you. It's important to choose, and preparation, it's on your behalf. Don't expect anyone else to do the job for you. You know what you need. Take your time, prepare it, get it, get samples out, give it for free. And see the crowdfunding really as an excellent brand awareness tool that you can get eventually money out of it, but it's not the primary. My vision today, it's not the primary objective. It's more to get visible. Because with every campaign, we saw the normal sales of the other products increased. So it's a good back door. So my name is Dan. Happy to talk to you afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Nan. We now start our last discussion by welcoming Robin Finger from Discover Earth. Robin worked closely with Francisco from Frédéric Constant to develop their digital presence through social medias and accompany them during an incredible crowdfunding campaign. We are looking forward to hear about these stories and the impact they had on their strategy.
Thank you very much, Lilian. So I'm really excited to talk about this special project we did with Frédéric Constant. And it's actually part of the Frédéric Constant group. It's actually called Alpina Watches. So I will answer all the questions you asked me to answer, Lilian. So why crowdfunding? Well, first of all, it gives you funds, as the name says it. It gives you new customers. So if you already have an established brand, it's really great to have new customers and customers that can actually buy again in the future, or new customers that can actually talk about your product to all their community. And one of the greatest part is that it gives you a lot of brand awareness. And especially on social media, we saw a big increase of followers on social media. So the project I'm going to talk today about is the Alpiner X, so the project by Alpina Watches. And this project was actually a smartwatch for outdoors. And yeah, they decided to launch a Kickstarter project to be different from all the watchmaking today, all the traditional rules. They really wanted to push the boundaries and really create something special. So this is the introduction of the watch.
Hi Kickstarter, we're Alpina Watches and have been making high-quality Swiss watches since 1883. In 1938, we invented the ultimate outdoor alpine watch, the Alpina Vaud. It quickly became a reference amongst nature and alpine enthusiasts. 80 years after the Alpina Vaud, we are very proud to introduce the Alpina X, the first true outdoor smartwatch. The Alpina X is, on top of everything else, a beautiful piece of Swiss watchmaking. With its sporty and strong looks, high-quality materials, and refined details, the Alpina X makes a strong statement and is, above all, an exquisite piece to wear. And it's just the start. We wanted to bring state-of-the-art connected features while staying faithful to our roots. We combined an analog display with a digital screen and managed to put some great sensors into it. Instead of making another smartwatch with tons of functionalities, we aim at creating a watch that helps you make the difference. That's why we center the watch around the dynamic coach, so that you can improve your lifestyle by following the tips given by the app. All the data is collected in real time and can be analyzed via the companion app. Keep track of your progress, push yourself further, and challenge yourself to new adventures.
Before I come back to you, when I'm happy, nothing's going to stop me. I'm making my way home, I'm making my way. For your love I will go far, I wanna be wherever you are. I know I'm coming back for you. Our love is a river long, the best ride in a million wrongs. I know I'm coming back to you.
Your Alpina X will never judge you. It will only help you move forward and accomplish your objectives. By now, you probably ask yourself why such an established brand is on Kickstarter. Alpina has a rich history of collaboration and innovation. In 1903, the Alpinists, a group of retailers, came together to develop new designs. We feel that Kickstarter is the modern vision of that spirit of collaboration, into which you are the alpinist. In order to build a watch that fits your needs, we are inviting you into the innovation cycle. To do so, we have built a configurator into which you can design your own watch amongst over 3,000 possibilities. If you do not wish to do so, you can of course vote for the best design and we will build it for you. Should you be a city dweller or a Himalayan climber, our outdoor smartwatch will be the best ally for your challenges. So back us now and get your personalized Alpina X and reach your own summit. Thank you very much.
I'm making my way.
So this is the kind of video you should actually aim for a successful campaign on crowdfunding. A 4 minutes video that really show emotions and all the features, the special features that has your product. So our expectations for this project was 500,000 Swiss francs and to get at least 1,000 backers and at least 1 million views. But surprisingly, we actually pushed the boundaries and we reached actually 1.5 million of Swiss francs and 2,795 backers. And we actually got 30 million of views, which is quite amazing. And this is probably something that we're going to do a lot more in the future. So the impact that it got in the marketing is that we actually got more funds than expected, which is quite amazing for the brand. And also we get new clients that will probably buy again in the future. So yeah, we actually didn't just touch our customers, actual customers, but we actually touch more and new customers that could be more loyal in the future of the brand. And yeah, the Alparnix has been seen by more people than competitors. For example, Tissot, who actually launched at the same time their G-Touch, and yeah, we actually got more views at that time for the watch. So crowdfunding is probably one of the best tools if you want to get your brand really famous. And so here are actually the 3 key elements to success for actually this kind of crowdfunding, is that the product was quite unique and really something different than what's in the market. So really find something really revolutionary so people would be happy to back your project. And what was also a success with this project is that they're actually a configurator. So people actually feel part of the project of creating their own watch. And this is really important because, yeah, they really feel part of this new community, actually. And secondly, what was great also, we saw people like entertainment. So good visuals, good photos, good videos, everything. So they feel really excited about your project. So that was also a key element. And also something really important was we were actually touching people who didn't know at all Kickstarter and didn't know how to actually back a project. And so really had to say step by step how to do it. So even like a 8 years old can actually understand how to back your project. So that was really important because there are so many comments about how to do it. And if you can just make a step by step, it's going to be much easier for everyone. And then, yeah, thirdly, what is really important is a crowdfunding ad agency for all your advertisements. There's a lot of actually agencies who pretend how to do the ads for a crowdfunding, but it's quite different from a traditional campaign. So yeah, really select carefully your digital agency. So yeah, that's it for my part.
Thank you for all these different angles and perspectives about the crowdfunding topic and the way to integrate this into a marketing strategy. We are now going to go to the Q&A part. We are going to have some mics that are going to come all along through, so do not hesitate to wave to ask your different question. As I have the mic, I will start, if you will allow me. Robin, you said that you have a new type of client with this type of crowdfunding campaign, and I wanted to know, is there really a difference in the profile between the backers you have, and the client that a company could have? The same question is also available for Babouk. To know, for example, the people buying your shoes online, are they the same as the profile that you have, for example, through your online store or stuff like that? Do you have the same way to talk to these two profiles?
Well, actually, well, of course, there's all the loyal customers who really support the brand. So, of course, there are all these customers. But what was quite interesting is that we had all other people out from the brand who actually was interested to the brand. For example, there was a lot of people from the Kickstarter community who actually backed the project. So it not only depends of your actual audience. Yeah, but what is interesting when you have your own audience, when you're retargeting, is that you can actually touch people. You know actually what people expect from a brand, so you really know all the interests that you have to target through advertisements. So that was quite interesting and more useful for a campaign. Yeah.
The way I would see the Kickstarter consumers, I would actually rate them a little bit above your original consumer. A Kickstarter or a crowdfunding consumer is generally somebody, it's a trendsetter. It's a guy who is open for innovation, is open for something new. And you can get actually much more out of these consumers because they are willing to share with you. We did afterwards focus groups, and there are people that are willing to do Skypes all over the world, spending 2 hours with us, giving their honest feedback, which my feeling is from a traditional e-commerce consumer, it's a little bit more difficult. They're much more open. We just launched a new version of our smart ruler, and we sent the database out, and the first buyers were the Kickstarter, ex-Kickstarter community. So, yeah, I would rate them at the higher level in terms of interest for the company.
So do you have different marketing campaigns for crowdfunding backers and for your traditional clients, or how do you handle this?
No, we try to be just transparent and honest. I think that's our strategy, just to say, as we are human beings, I think you've seen our video, we don't want to try to pretend something we are not. And I think that's also the DNA of our company at this stage, when you have this choice to be who you want to be.
Yeah, it's actually really true. Also, when you're actually touching people who actually don't know your brand, you should really be more open to the video or the advertisement you're doing. Actually, it should really touch more broad people instead of, if you're just touching your own community. It should be really a video that actually people recognize the brand easily, etc. So yeah, if you're actually touching people who are actually not from the brand, you should be more open to content that people would enjoy watching. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other question? Yes, just here.
I have a question on the recommendation for ICOs. You told before about some limits that you can use here, but the ICOs, how is this one regulated?
Yeah, the ICOs is also regulated. It is coming more and more up to the regulation in Switzerland. In Switzerland, this is the two first country. There's also Singapore. I think they've made a guide about the ICOs. Geneva has already brand an ICO guide about how you can use ICO and what type of ICO it exists, with the payment token, the utility token, or an asset-backed token, which is the security one. It is more and more complex because it's new, but it's I think the most important part to know, it's Switzerland is one of the country using ICO, and actually this is why a lot of startups are coming from overseas to come in Switzerland, because we already have the regulation, especially in Geneva and in Zug, as I said, because they already made a guide on ICOs about this. It's completely different than crowdfunding and crowdlending, because ICOs, they use token, they use cryptocurrency, they use another platform to trade this. But the guide of the ICOs, which was made with a lot of lawyers in Geneva, are public. So I invite you to go to the website on the Canton of Genève.
Je fais mon sport comme ça. C'est le moment de tester le micro. Voilà, ça marche.
Hello. I would like to ask you, Dan and Robin, if you were going to just make a new marketing campaign without needing money, would you just continue to make a crowdfunding campaign or just make normal marketing?
If it's a new product that we don't know what it will look like, definitely yes. I only would be careful, and that's a little discussion we had earlier as well, is at what stage do you upset consumers having the feeling that you want to crowdfund them all the time? Because we launched just 2 weeks ago a new product and we didn't put it on Kickstarter. We didn't put it on crowdfunding because we had the feeling that it's not enough innovation to justify the effort. Because it's a very intensive period. 10 days, 20 days, doesn't matter how long the crowdfunding, it's a very intensive. So you can quickly upset consumers. So you have to be prepared. You have to have, especially when you're a small team, you really work 24 hours a day because they ask you questions and it's not like, oh, I send you next week the answer. You have to get all the updates ready. You want to tell all the time a story because otherwise, So if it's a new product, which is different, and I'm not sure if it would have a success, definitely yes.
For my part, I think it really depends if you actually already have a community. If you have already loyal customers who would be willing to buy your product, there's no problem for that. But if you're really launching a product, or if you're aiming 1 million, 2 million, you should really spend some money to get your goals actually. But if you have already a own community, I'm pretty sure you can get some good results without doing all the campaign of a crowdfunding.
Yeah, just to add on that, you also have to take into account that when you launch a campaign, you're going to mobilize your own networks first. And if you launch too often, there's going to be a fatigue where they're not going to follow you anymore. So catering to your community is also not asking them too much too often. So you really need to balance these two.
And to add one point, also it's because crowdfunding is more using as to validate the idea, and as we saw before, and sometimes the producer wants to validate the idea before to know and to produce the product or the services, and it's a very good point. And you can use marketing, the basic marketing, as a lot of people are using, or you can use also crowdfunding to validate the idea.
I am looking for one single new customer. I found a mobile phone. It may be yours. So if you lost your mobile phone, you are my customer.
I have a question regarding the costs. To achieve comparable results, how cheaper is it to use crowdfunding compared to traditional marketing tools?
It's a very good question. I don't know the price of the community in the traditional marketing. I think it's more you can also manage this with the time you spend. more with the agency or more to use a crowdfunding? Because a crowdfunding, you need to get prepared about crowdfunding. It's not like you've got an idea, okay, tomorrow I will go on a platform of crowdfunding. You need to prepare this stuff 1 month before. And there is one curve in crowdfunding, which is the 7 first days are very, very mark the tendency of the sales, and then you've got a gap, maybe in 10 or 15 days, and then the 7 last days are the most important because bakers will come up and to finish the fundraising of the product in crowdfunding, and each step are very taking time because you have to promote on social media, you have to promote on your community by email, etc. So it depends of the time you spend in crowdfunding, or you can just do it as you want with the traditional point. For financial, it depends on what you already take with as a counsel, as a consultant, or as a package you already have. I know that some of crowdfunding platform already sell a package to help you. And also it depends on the percentage of the platform who takes some transaction fee at the end of the campaign. So there, as we said before, there's a lot of platform in Switzerland, and sometimes they charge differently. So I don't know if anyone has an idea.
I can't speak to Swiss campaigns and the crowdfunding sites and their percentages they take, but I know, at least in the US, the market is under 10%, and at Indiegogo it's a 5% take rate. So if you really are doing it all yourself, of course, the amount of time you spend on the campaign is very relevant to the cost, but I would also say that, traditional market research needs to come before traditional marketing, and that can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, if you're trying to whittle down and find your audience. So you can, at the first phase of the campaign, have one particular strategy or idea on who your consumer is and market your ads to that audience. And if that is not who's actually coming in, then before spending lots of money and waiting, you can actually optimize your strategy and your target audience midway through the campaign and see if those are actually the people coming in. So that kind of research that goes into the marketing campaign can happen in real time if you have some budget, maybe for social media ads, which, as we know on Facebook, can be pretty affordable as the price of entry. So I think the actual dollar amount I can't give you, but I do think there's a huge benefit to, depending on the size of your company and your traditional marketing budget, to certainly give it a try, make some savings. Yeah.
Just to add, we had these questions internally some time ago, and I saw it one day like this. It's all about preparation. The reason I'm saying preparation is, if you see, and I can talk more what I know a little bit Kickstarter. I don't know the other platforms, but for example, on Kickstarter, every day you have about, or not every day you go, depending on the category where you are, you have 200-300 projects in parallel. So you have, in a certain way, if you are competing against 200 other projects to stand up. And probably I didn't mention it earlier, we were lucky in Kickstarter because we were staff picked. So we straight away went to different categories where people saw us all the time. But otherwise you are fighting. If you can manage through the preparation to get on the top, I think the value you're getting, more than just money, more as the market research, is much stronger than you can get from a traditional market research activity. But it's the preparation to get up there. Because if you are somewhere number 200 or 50 or 60, nobody will see you. You can spend as much money as you want. Nobody will be interested in your project because the feedbacks are not good, because the project maybe is not good, maybe it's too expensive, and so on and so forth. So it's the challenge. It's to really get ready before you're doing it. Don't leave it to anyone else to do it for you.
Yeah, and when we talk about organic growth and crowdfunding, obviously there's the growth of people sharing it in their own social networks. But like you've mentioned, there is that growth of the website itself promoting you depending on how you're performing. And in Indiegogo, it's called the go-go factor, but that determines if you have a homepage placement or if you're in a newsletter. And there certainly is a huge value to that and being in front of millions of users every day.
I've got a question for Indiegogo and We Make It. What is your strategy to attract new projects on the platform?
Sure, I can start. Thank you. Yeah, so Indiegogo, we have recently become specialists in hardware. So we've become really attractive to hardware brands because we tend to support them really well. And we also have a real human team of salespeople and campaign strategists who are doing outreach and networking and building communities to bring in new projects to Indiegogo. So we actually have a huge division that's dedicated to finding those people. So that's a huge part of it. I mean, you do see CPG products, but they don't tend to have the same returns because the price point is a little bit lower. So right now we are really focusing on hardware, and there is this two-way communication that we do. And events. There's lots of events too.
Yeah, as for We Make It, like she said, we also use events to communicate our platform and get new customers in the way of initiators of campaigns, of course. And also what we do is make publicity on social media, because of course for us also it works. And we also try to work with partnerships, because we have partnerships where specific companies or institutions want to help a specific kind of project. And usually when we do a partnership like this, they also bring in some projects that they wanted to make it through a crowdfunding campaign. Because usually for sponsorship, for example, crowdfunding can be used as a condition to get the money for the sponsorship, because then the institution that gives the money is assured that the project has a public success, because the campaign was a success, and then it means that they had backers, so the crowd follows them. So they see the interest into doing partnerships with us because of this, and so we also use this to get new projects in.
Good evening. My question is about sales conversion. So when you sell through a crowdfunding campaign, or pre-sale, or raise perks, or pledges, depending on the platform you're talking to, you sell online. What is your take about converting these online sales into brick and mortar sales? Is it something possible? If I take the example, to elaborate a bit on this, of the watch brand movement, they started with crowdfunding campaigns, but they decided, even after being very successful and being purchased for $100 million by the Movado Group last August, not to go offline. What's your experience on that?
That depends on the type of project. On our platform, we have, like I said, we are focused on a local, national-wide scale, so we also have local businesses doing campaigns. So when a VRAC, a grocery, which is a no-waste grocery, does a campaign on We Make It, then the people have to come to the business to get the rewards. So they get the habit to go there, and they become customers. A big part of them becomes customers. So we can see there is a conversion for the, I would say, the places that have a place to go there, because you can use, like, get the reward there to convert the backers into customers.
I see also another advantage, because don't forget, the crowdfunding is one project with, if you do it well, a huge PR value behind. So people see the product, and see people, especially for new projects or new brands, it's another touch point you have with the customers. So when he goes back to a brick and mortar, that actually he can recognize the brand. I think for new project, at least in our case, we had these questions from retailers, you're going to sell online, la la la. But actually, when we're successful and we get newspapers out and people are talking in 24 Heures and Le Temps and oh yeah, we like you. But then because they increase the sales. So that's what I mentioned before. These projects also brings as a brand generally more value because you have the visibility. So.
I also think it's important when you're preparing, as we've said, it's very important for your campaign, that you set and do some research on your internal and external goal. That's the terminology we use a lot with our clients, that the external goal is, of course, what's on the page and how much you'd like to raise or how many products you'd like to sell to understand if there's an audience for your product. And this is, again, specific to companies using crowdfunding. But the internal goal might be that go or no-go decision, that unless we make a certain amount or unless we sell a certain amount, it's not about whether or not we have the funds to make it. It's whether there's enough demand to prove that this is something we should go into mass production or perhaps brick and mortar with. So it is important to do that financial research in advance to see what is the threshold that proves that this is something that, you know, I have enough money to actually continue and produce.
Maybe the last question.
Yes, my question is for Dan as entrepreneur and also for the agency. I'm very interested to understand you as an entrepreneur. You put a new product, a new idea onto a platform and you expose it to everybody. So how were you never afraid that somebody could steal your idea and launch the product before you could even have all the money to do it by yourself? So that's the question for you and also for the agency. Did you hear people that say, I really, really regret to have exposed my brilliant idea because finally a larger company who had already all the money launched it just before me and really shit.
It's a good question because actually it happened like this. It didn't happen before us. One thing probably important to share, I don't know if I did it before, is apart our first Kickstarter, we're like, oh, what are we doing? It's normally the products are ready when you do your Kickstarter. You don't want to make this mistake. I have an idea, and then I will see how I produce it. I mean, we did the first one. You know, when you have to explain every month the customers why you could not deliver, you know, with all the honesty, some people get pissed off afterwards. The second project we had online, but we got actually copied 6 months later by a big company. And it was the owner himself who ordered the pair of products. So it was like a little bit obvious. And 6 months later we came. But on the other side, it's actually a recognition. Because that means we're on the right track. Now it's your DNA of the company and what you are doing. What you want to do with this, it's not being copied because everybody copies everybody at the end. So it was actually for us more recognition that we are on the right track. Maybe it takes more longer. Maybe we still have to work a couple of more hours until we get enough people to stuff. But it was actually more a positive impact than a negative. So I would not be afraid at all. I would more see it, yeah, great. Yeah, I'm doing something good.
Yeah, really true. And if you're really convinced about your product, you can also protect it before launching your product. If you're really convinced, yeah.
Ellie, Marie.
Just to add.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
The last answer.
No, that's fine.
Go ahead.
Just to add an information, it happens all the time, and if you can't pitch your project, just keep it for you, but you will never touch the public. So it's go or no go. It's an internal decision.
Thank you very much.